Hello everybody, it's Pam and welcome back to my channel. Today I wanted to start a bit of a series. This is actually the first idea that sort of came to me when I decided I wanted to do a makeup channel, and I want to do a makeup look using every single eyeshadow palette that I have. I thought this would be a good way to both appreciate what I already have, make sure that I'm actually using it and it's not just sitting on my shelf sort of unloved, as well as hopefully help me resist the temptation to buy too many new things. I have approximately 30 eyeshadow palettes. It might be a little bit more than that, though honestly I've sort of decluttered some of them in my brain, if not actually physically. So for the first look, to kick off this series, I am going to use the ColourPop Just My Luck palette, and this is one of the first ones they had in their sort of monochromatic 9-pan palettes. It's the first one that I bought because I'm honestly just a sucker for green eyeshadow, and this is what the palette looks like here. Hopefully it's focusing properly. Overall, I really like it. I've used it a few times, though there is one weak point for me, and that is that when I think of a green eyeshadow palette, the first color that comes to mind that I want to see is like a shimmery, brilliant emerald color, and that is lacking in here, though we can kind of create it by mixing some other things. The closest to the shimmery emerald there's this color called 50/50 here. There's also one called Big Banks, which is a little more of a lighter green, and then Mobamba is a very dark green that has some shimmer to it. That's what these look like swatched. So, we're gonna just do a look. It's going to be a fairly, dramatic and dark look, so let's get started. I'm just going to zoom in a little. So I'm going to start off in the crease, and I'm going to be using a blending brush. This one is from Alamar Cosmetics, and I'm going to go in with the color Kiss My Hass, which is a sort of lighter matte green here. So just starting from the outer corner, I'm just going to blend that using windshield wiper motions through the entire crease. This is actually a really nice color, and it's a little bit brighter than how it appears in the palette. It shows up really nice. Oh, I have not primed my eyelids. I feel like you can prime first if you want to, especially since these are fairly intense colors. I didn't today just because it's later in the afternoon, and I'm probably not going to be wearing it for all that long, so I'm not terribly concerned about creasing, but if you want this to be more long-lasting, then definitely use a primer to start off with. So I am also taking it a little bit further out, sort of like on the outer edge of my eye. I'm going to be cleaning it up a little when I'm done with it, but I'm going kind of taking up a little extra space. So now I'm going to go to the lid, and I am going to use Act Natural, which is a nice sort of foresty kind of emerald green, but it is a matte. So I'm going to take it on this fairly large shader brush. Be just a little careful with how much I use to start off with. And I'm focusing especially near the lash line. For me, personally, I sometimes have trouble with eyeshadow not really wanting to stick right near the lashes, so I kind of just really focus on putting it there before I start blending it up towards the crease. And I'm both sort of patting and swiping as I go. So I sort of pat it down where I want and then kind of just blend it a little out so that the color is nice and even. right, so we've got the dark green on there. Now I just want to deepen up the crease a little, and I'm going to take this angled, what's it called? An angled shading brush. So it's slightly flat. I don't know, it kind of reminds me of a combination between a shader brush and a blending brush, but then it's just got that angle on it. So I'm going in here with Mobamba, which is this darker shadow with a bit of a sparkle through it. So I'm just going to be taking this on the brush. This one makes a bit of a mess in the pan, so just make sure that you're tapping it off pretty well. And this I'm going to focus on sort of the outer V of my eye here. So I'm just taking the brush sort of one way, like I'm not really blending it back and forth. I'm just going with the sort of taller end of the angled brush, like right in the corner, and then just sort of pushing it up into the crease a little, as well as down sort of across the lash line. Okay, so we've got that there. Now, I want to just put a little bit of Chances Are, which is the very pale green. I'm just going to put that a little bit in the inner corner. And to do that, I'm going to use this little guy. This is another one from Alamar Cosmetics, and this is a very, it doesn't have a name, but it is a very, very flat, sort of rounded at the top brush, just for like really packing the color on exactly where you want it. So just going to swipe it through here a little, tap it off, and then just in that inner corner here, just sort of upward strokes. All right, now the final color we're going to use on our upper lids, at least we have the lower lids to do. Now I'm taking a ColourPop E1, which is another shader brush, and I'm going to go into, do I want 50/50 or Big Banks? I actually really liked how 50/50 looked when I swatched it, so I'm going to go in 50/50 here. It is a slightly more olive colored green, and it is very shimmery, and I'm just going to be putting that sort of right on the middle of my lid over the other color that we already did. I'm just patting that on sort of all around in a circle, just like right in the middle of my eyelid. So now we've got this sort of very deep, intense green that I wanted, but we've still got a little bit of shimmer happening as well. Okay, now just to finish off the upper lids, I'm going to go in with that same blending brush I used first and just swipe it through the crease a few times back and forth just to make sure everything is all blended in there. Okay, so I'm just going to take, I've got my little wet wipe here. I actually feel like this eye is doing really well. This eye, it's just gone a tiny bit further down than I wanted it, so I'm just going to clean it up a little bit. And that's good. Okay, so now for the lower lash line, I'm taking this brush, and I'm sorry, I don't know what this brush is called, but it is a very short, sort of densely bristled brush. There's not a whole lot of give to it, so it's fairly precise. And I'm going to go in with Act Natural, which is the color that we have sort of all over our lid. I'm just going to sort of dip the tip of it in here, and then I'm going to take this along the lower lash line. So I never like taking the lower lash down too far. I feel like when I do that, it really gets sort of stuck in those creases that I have under my eye. So, yeah, I just take it down a little bit, as you can probably see. And then also just right at the corner there, I'm just sort of packing it on a tiny bit right there and sort of going up in a little flick motion. I'm not doing a proper liner, so this is just giving a tiny bit extra definition. And just to define it a little bit more, I'm now taking a flat angled brush and going in Mobamba here, which is the color we did at the very outer corner. Again, just sort of dipping it in. And this is just like a very, very tight line on the lower lash. Okay, now just for a final bit of cleanup, since this is fairly intense, especially on the under eye, I'm just taking my Bioderma micellar water and a Q-tip and just get that a little bit soaked. And then I'm going to just clean up a tiny bit under my lower lash lines in the couple places where I feel like the shadow went a little bit further than I wanted it to. My left eye is good, but I went a little overboard on the right eye. Okay, that's good, and then I'm actually pretty fine with this, but depending on how much cleanup you need to do, you can also take your concealer, if you were wearing concealer, which I was before this, and you can just pat it on a tiny bit, just underneath if you've rubbed any of it off during your cleanup there. I'm just going to finish off this look now. I'm going to put on some mascara. This is the Essence Lash Princess Volume Mascara, which is very good and also quite inexpensive, which is very nice. And I'm just going to put this on the top lashes. Also going to just do a tiny bit on the lower lashes. I find that lower lash mascara tends to make more of a mess than it's worth, so I don't like to overdo it. Okay, so that is it for the eyes. I really like this look. It's sort of a nice smoky green, very vibrant, which I like. And just to finish things off, I'm going to put on a little bit of blush. I'm going to go rather neutral on the rest of my face since the eyes are so intense. So I'm going to go with this Burt's Bees blush. This is in Toasted Cinnamon, and I'm really going to focus this more around my cheekbones, sort of almost even up into the temple area rather than on the cheek, since it is the sort of more browny color. It's not the most natural looking flush, especially for me, so it's just sort of gonna like drape it around this area. Alright, that's good. And again, with lip, I'm going to go with something on the neutral side. I think I'm going to go with this ColourPop Ultra Blotted Lip, and this is in, it's in Zuma. I really like these Ultra Blotted lips. They sort of dry down nicely, but they don't like make your lips feel tight, and they also just have a really cool finish that I've never seen anything quite like this before, and I enjoy them. I actually think this might be drying out a little bit. This is one of the first things I ever ordered from ColourPop, so it was a few years ago. Alright, there we go, and that is the final look. I hope you enjoyed this, maybe learned something. If you are not a fan of green eyeshadow yourself or find it a little intimidating, maybe this helped you out a little. In the meantime, thank you so much for watching, and I hope I'll see you again soon.